Today we'll be reminiscing about one of the greatest moments in the history of movies, Andy's escape scene from the Shawshank Redemption, and how its cinematography, lighting, and every other detail took it from an epic to a masterpiece. For those who have not watched the movie before, we're going to have major spoilers in this video as we're going to analyze every detail of the scene. Anyway, how can you not watch this masterpiece? It is a treasure not to be missed. For those who've watched it, you all know what I'm talking about. So without further ado, let's start with the analysis.
Truth is, I don't want to know. Some things are best left unsaid.
Let's begin with the summary of the plot. Andy Dufresne, a banker, is wrongfully convicted of murdering his wife and her lover, although maintaining his innocence. Circumstantial evidence, including his presence near the crime scene and his own gun, resulted in a life sentence in Shawshank Prison. Andy Dufresne is played by Tim Robbins, an American actor, director, and producer, who is known for his tall stature, deep voice, and versatile acting. Inside Shawshank, Andy discovers a corrupt system run by Warden Norton and the prison guards, particularly Captain Hadley, who abuses the inmates. The warden exploits prisoners for forced labor and utilizes Andy's financial knowledge to launder money under the alias Randall Stevens. Despite the corruption, Andy is patient, having quietly planned his escape for 19 years, while simultaneously assisting fellow convicts and exposing Shawshank's abuses. His final vengeance comes when he escapes, exposes the warden's misdeeds, and overthrows the prison's corrupt regime, demonstrating that justice can be found even in the darkest corners. Andy Dufresne's prison break scene in the Shawshank Redemption is a triumphant moment handled to perfection. After 19 years at Shawshank Prison, Andy executes his plan on a rainy night. He goes into the warden's office, dons the warden's shoes, and steals important financial records. Using a rope, he crawls down a tunnel he had discreetly excavated behind a poster over the years. He then travels 500 yards through a sewage pipe to reach freedom. The next day, authorities uncover his escape, and Andy, who has acquired a false identity, withdraws the warden's laundered money and exposes the prison's wrongdoing. Frank Darabont combines tight framing, contrasting lighting, and symbolic visuals such as his rebirth through the tunnel and rain-soaked freedom pose to underline his success, redemption, and transformation. Throughout the film, Andy is shown as a calm, clever, and patient guy who has endured decades of unfair imprisonment. His calm manner often gives the impression that he has accepted his fate, yet the escape reveals that he has planned his freedom all along, defying expectations. The tension of the scene is built up from the night before. Andy has a concerning talk with Red in the prison yard, during which he speaks cryptically about hope and making a decision. Get busy living or get busy dying. He asks Red to vow that if he ever gets out, he will go to a certain site in Buxton, Maine, where something will be waiting for him.
So, what?
Zihuatanejo. It's in Mexico.
Red notices Andy acting suspiciously, which suggests that something significant is going to happen. That night, during a thunderstorm, Andy executes his meticulously planned escape route. He removes the Raquel Welch poster, which had been covering the hole he had surreptitiously dug for nearly 2 decades. Crawling through the tunnel, he meticulously cut with a little rock hammer. He arrives at the prison's main sewage pipeline. The scene inside the tunnel and sewer pipe is filmed in claustrophobic close-ups and tight framing. This graphically emphasizes Andy's struggle, making the audience feel both his anguish and his drive. Inside the prison and tunnel, the lighting is gloomy and shadowy, adding to the impression of imprisonment and concealment. Andy's face is frequently lighted from a single source, resulting in striking contrasts that represent his concealed plans. Andy timed his final action to the thunderclaps, utilizing the loud booms to hide the sound of smashing a massive sewer pipe with a rock. He then crawls 500 yards down a filthy, foul-smelling sewage conduit, braving deplorable conditions.
Maybe I just don't want to.
He emerges from the sewer and stands in the rain, arms spread. This classic posture represents redemption, triumph, and spiritual cleansing. It visually evokes religious imagery of salvation, which reinforces the film's themes of hope and perseverance. After Andy escapes, the area is illuminated by moonlight and lightning bolts. The rain and natural lighting provide a visually spectacular contrast to the gloom he has left behind, representing purity and renewal. The camera turns to a beautiful overhead crane image, making him appear little yet victorious, representing his newfound independence and spiritual cleansing. Before we dig deeper and understand the scene better, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button to make sure that you get similar breakdowns of exceptional movie scenes. It would mean a lot to us. Now the guards find out that Andy is gone. The scene opens with the traditional roll call, with convicts waiting outside their doors while a guard calls out their names. When Andy does not answer, the camera focuses on his empty cell, intensifying the tension. A tracking shot follows the guard as he approaches Andy's cell, generating anxiety. As the guard glances into Andy's empty cell, the camera cuts to a low-angle shot, giving him the appearance of being weak and confused. This part is set in the early morning, with a sharp contrast between the bright daylight outside and the dark, frigid interiors of the prison. The prison stays dark, accentuating its harsh nature. But Andy, who has fled into the outside world, is symbolically in the light. The prison's frigid, muted color palette of gray walls and dim lighting accentuates immobility and imprisonment, making Andy's absence feel even more poignant. The prison, which had previously been shown as a place of strict order and discipline, has abruptly descended into fear and confusion. The guards rush around, looking furiously, but the camera repeatedly returns to the warden, demonstrating that Andy's absence is what truly matters. The cinematography contrasts the narrow, cramped pictures of the prison with Andy's large, open escape sequence, underlining the notion of freedom against confinement. Warden Norton appears angry and impatient. The photography technique uses medium close-ups of the warden's face to convey his mounting exasperation and incredulity. The slow push-in shot as Norton enters Andy's cage creates dramatic suspense. Out of frustration, the warden picks up a rock and throws it at the Raquel Welch poster. The camera moves to a slow-motion shot that follows the rock's trajectory. Instead of bouncing off, the rock disappears into the hole, resulting in a breathtaking moment of awareness. The over-the-shoulder shot shows the warden's viewpoint as he stares at the poster. The camera focuses on the torn piece of the poster, which reveals the escape tunnel. The tight zoom on Norton's face shows his shocked expression in great detail, emphasizing his incredulity. The camera moves through the hole and down the tunnel, showing the extent of Andy's long-hidden scheme. Norton staggers backward, overcome with horror as he realizes Andy has escaped. The camera tilts slightly, resulting in an uneven composition that represents the warden's disintegrating control. The intense overhead lighting on Norton's face creates deep shadows, making him appear more vulnerable and highlighting his breakdown. Andy had been planning more than just his escape. He had also been gathering evidence against the crooked warden and his money laundering operation. Before leaving Shawshank, he steals the warden's financial documents and adopts the character of Randall Stevens, a fictitious persona he had been developing for years. Andy, dressed in a suit and polished shoes which he swapped with the warden during his escape, visits many banks, withdraws the laundered money, and sends evidence of corruption to the media. The scenario begins with a montage showing Andy, now a free man, disguised in a suit and visiting various banks. The camera follows him in a nice tracking shot, highlighting his cool and controlled demeanor. as he withdraws the warden's laundered funds. Medium close-ups of Andy's hands signing paperwork highlight his intelligence. He's been planning this for years, under the alias Randall Stevens. The use of broad shots in the bank contrasts with the cramped confinement, reflecting Andy's newfound freedom. Outside the prison, Andy is bathed in warm, natural light, which emphasizes his rebirth. Inside Shawshank, the lighting is frigid and harsh, representing oppression. The contrast visually emphasizes Andy's win over the warden. Andy delivers a big parcel containing documents to the local newspaper, revealing the warden's malfeasance. The close-up of the envelope slipping into the mailbox marks a watershed moment. Andy is actively undermining the crooked system. This modest but powerful deed bears enormous weight, demonstrating that justice can be achieved without violence, which is a central theme of the film. Warden Norton opens the newspaper and sees the headline that exposes his wrongdoing and Andy's faked financial records. The close-up view of the warden's quivering hands reflects his shock and terror. A slow zoom into his face highlights his realization that Andy has utterly outplayed him. The lighting on his face is now harsh and gloomy, making him appear evil and defeated. The film continually contrasts hope and despair, with Red originally feeling that hope is a dangerous thing while in prison. Andy's escape demonstrates that hope is more than an abstract ideal. It is a force for action. His steadfast patience, reflected by decades of surreptitiously chiseling away at the wall, demonstrates how perseverance leads to final victory. The payback is huge, as Andy not only escapes, but also brings down the corrupt jail system. Andy crawls through the tunnel, which suggests a figurative rebirth. He wades in filth before emerging clean from the rain. His final position, standing with arms wide under the stormy sky, is a baptismal image, representing his spiritual and emotional redemption. He enters Shawshank as an innocent guy, is beaten down by the system, and then emerges stronger, reclaiming his life. Andy does not simply flee. He ensures that the unscrupulous Warden Norton and his enforcer Captain Hadley face justice. By painstakingly compiling money records and evidence of prison corruption, he provides proof to the press, resulting in Norton's downfall and Hadley's arrest. The irony is satisfying when Norton, who once benefited from Andy's intelligence, is now undone by it. His death reinforces the notion that those who abuse power will meet their demise. Andy Dufresne's escape is the film's iconic moment, representing the conclusion of the Shawshank Redemption's themes of hope, endurance, and justice. The scene is a masterclass in visual storytelling, employing cinematography, lighting, framing, and symbolism to deliver an emotionally strong and rewarding narrative conclusion. His journey from building a tunnel for 19 years to crawling through 500 yards of filth is more than a physical escape. It's a figurative rebirth, representing the triumph of hope over despair. The contrast between Shawshank's cramped, restrictive atmosphere and the open freedom of the stormy night visually underlines the notion that genuine liberation requires resilience and patience. The music in Andy's escape scene, composed by Thomas Newman, is critical in increasing the emotional impact of the occasion. It's a masterclass in subtlety, timing, and emotional catharsis, with themes of freedom, hope, and rebirth running throughout. The scene begins without music, relying on ambient sounds such as thunder and rain to create suspense. As Andy emerges from the sewer, the orchestral score swells with strings, brass, and choir-like harmonies, representing liberation and rebirth. The juxtaposition between quiet and triumphant music heightens the catharsis, resulting in one of cinema's most memorable freedom scenes. Andy's escape also acts as poetic justice, as he not only frees himself, but also brings down the corrupt prison system and guarantees that the warden suffers the repercussions of his actions. His meticulous planning and intelligence transform his unlawful imprisonment into a win, demonstrating that justice can prevail, even in the most hopeless situations. Finally, Andy's escape is more than just a spectacular prison break. It's a tremendous statement about the human spirit, making it one of cinema's most famous and emotionally evocative moments. Frank Darabont's direction, lighting, cinematography, and narration have done perfect justice to the scene, taking it from epic to masterpiece. Did you enjoy the video? Please go through our channel to find more interesting breakdowns of famous scenes of brilliant movies. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.